A lot of people think that maybe they might want to play the waiting game with everything that's happening right now in the entire housing market, right? But we're now this video is obviously we're talking about Hawaii's real estate market specifically. And so is it a good time to buy a house in Hawaii in July of 2022 at the time of this recording and in beyond, right? We're going to talk about the interest rate fluctuations, all that stuff and more, maybe provide you some better perspective on all the situation and the surrounding things. We're going to get after it right now. What's going on? Welcome to the Living in Hawaii channel. If you are new here, this channel is all about what it's like to live in Hawaii, what it's like to eat, sleep, play, breathe, the up, down, left, and right, all the crevices and everything in between that you need to know about living in Hawaii. If you're not new here, hey, welcome on back. I appreciate you being here and watching another video. Make sure you all hit that like button. It's going to help anybody else be able to find these helpful videos. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime that we upload a new video on this channel. And we talk to so many people every single day, reaching out, shooting us a text, giving us a call, sending us an email, sliding in the DMs, however they're comfortable, reaching out either about their move to Hawaii or they're already here and they're trying to find a community that best fits their lifestyle. We talk to so many people. You can reach out. You can do the same thing too. Like I said, shoot us a text, give us a call, email, DM. Skip all of that and you can go ahead and schedule your Zoom with us using the link down in the description below. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when living in Hawaii. If you've been in the market of buying a house, you're thinking about making that move to Hawaii, or have already made that move and you're thinking about buying a house and you're weighing these things out, like you see all the inflation, right? We're talking about crazy high inflation. We're talking about pretty high interest rates, and you're really trying to figure out what you should do. All right, so let's talk about that, right? What is the inflation rate as of right now? As you can see right here with Trading Economics, U.S. inflation rates rise to 9.1% tops forecast. The annual inflation rate in the U.S. accelerated to 9.1% in June of 2022, the highest since November of 1981. From 8.6% in May and above market forecast of 8.8%. Now that's something that can be pretty scary, right? When we're seeing these types of things happen in our economy. And it really, real estate has been one of the more inflation-proof investments of really all time. But let's talk about these interest rates too and what we've seen. We've seen these fluctuations and this like crazy wavy pattern. So if we just even do a quick Google search, let's see what comes up as far as the interest rates. Even with a quick Google search right here, just current interest mortgage rates, you can see. Now, again, there's a lot of variables and factors too. It's saying your credit score. You can enter your credit score, 700 to 719, right? What state, if you have a down payment loan amount, they're pretty much giving you a calculator right here. But you can see that it says at a 30-year fixed, meaning a 30-year loan, right? At a fixed interest rate, you're looking at roughly 6.73%. And then on a 15-year fixed, it says 5.227. Now, interest rates do change with the wind. These things are just like, I don't even know how many times a day. Like, it's crazy. We talk to our lender partner every day, and interest rates are just constantly fluctuating. So how does this impact you when we're talking about buying a house? In terms of buying a house, having a higher interest rate can affect your qualifications, all right? It may affect your qualification as far as what you could afford with a 2.7, which was, months and months ago, or even a 3, right? But 3% is what I'm referring to. Now, when we have these 6.2s, how does that really affect your qualifications? Well, generally speaking, right, the person that may have had the credit, the affordability of a $500,000 house and that payment may now be looking right around that 315, 320 range. All those variables and stuff depend. That is not a blanket statement for everybody by any means. That is just saying in general, that's how it can affect, right? It may affect your qualification point. So with this higher interest rate, you can't buy as much house, all right? But should this deter you from buying a house? Well, let's talk about what was happening, 4 months ago, right? What was happening 4 months ago versus what's happening now. Okay, so when we were in this crazy seller's market, right? And you probably saw the memes, or if you've ever, been in the market and you've been paying attention, you've seen it was a seller's market. In the seller's market, pretty much the seller made demands, and those demands were met by some buyer out there, right? And what I mean by demands is they may have had a, way overpriced list price. That's like the first demand. Maybe they had some crazy contingencies. I've heard weird things that were happening. One being that somebody wanted, they knew that the buyer had a taco truck for whatever reason, and they wanted that taco truck to be at the daughter's graduation for free. I've heard stuff like that. And then, of course, in the real estate world, we see the crazy memes where it's like the buyer offers to name like their next child after the seller or something crazy and weird, right? Stuff like that. That was months and months ago, where people were paying so much more for the house. They were overpaying for houses. They were having to have more cash at the table to close on a house, right? If a home was listed at $500,000, it was pretty much well expected that home might sell for anywhere from $550,000 to $600,000, right? That was months and months ago in that seller's market. So all that cash, right, overpaying for that home is gone, right? You've given that cash away, you've paid that cash is gone. Now that we have made this shift and we have a real estate market update video where you can go back and you can watch, and we talk about how I personally don't think, and the data shows, that we are not necessarily going to have a full-on crash like 2008. I think a lot of people have, experienced 2008 or read about 2008 because you're a little bit younger, and everybody correlates a recession with a housing crisis. And that's not actually the case historically. All right. So go back and look at some data. I highly recommend checking out like keepingcurrentmatters.com. They have a lot of great data and stuff there, but it doesn't always mean a housing crisis and a recession are tag teamed together. Not always the case. So we are actually experiencing the shift, right? And I've made that video 2 weeks ago, and it's out there now. You can go check it on the channel. But we're noticing the shift from the crazy seller's market I was just telling you about, where all these people are overpaying for homes, to now where we're in this buyer's market. And what are we seeing in the buyer's market? We're seeing all these indicators of the market shifting, which we'll get into. But now when we're writing offers, because my name is Ryan and I'm a real estate agent here in Hawaii, right? When we're writing offers, we're not getting into all these crazy bidding wars. There's not already 40 offers on the home, right? We're looking at the days on market. We're trying to see if they've had any price reductions. We're looking at all these indicators that we're going to talk deeply more about, but these are the things that we're starting to notice. So my whole point being, yes, you may have a higher interest rate at this time, but over time, you can probably do a refinance, right, of some sort and bring that interest rate down, which would then help your payment, okay? So in the now, yes, impacting your qualifications. But in the now, we're not paying $50,000 cash, overpaying for this home with maybe some other contingencies like appraisal clauses, escalation contingencies, rent backs for free, and that type of stuff. Now we have the higher interest rates, which does affect your qualification. But keep in mind, you're not paying that extra cash. So this higher interest rate, this can be brought down probably in a year's time from now. Who knows what's going to happen with these things, right? So keep that in mind and have that perspective of, yes, I have a 5 or a 6 or whatever it is, but a year down the road, I can probably bring that down. The other part of that too is understanding your goals and priorities with the home. Like, yes, you have the 6 now. We just talked about maybe refining in a year, but are you really going to have that home for 30 years and pay off that full entire loan? Or are you probably going to rent it out here in 2 or 3 years? Or are you going to sell it in 2 or 3 years, right? And then hopefully make some profit on it, right? Depending on the market conditions, right? And then use those profits to do whatever it is that you please. So really think about like your goals and priorities. So yes, 6 now, but am I going to own this home for 30 years? Am I going to have a 6% interest rate for 30 years? Most likely not, right? Most likely not. But it all really depends on your situation, your goals, priorities, and everything that you're doing with the home and what it is that's going to happen. Now, there are a ton of indicators when it comes to the market shift, right? When we're talking about this full-on shift and not the full-on crash, right? We're talking about this shift from sellers, advantage, leverage, sellers shifting to the buyers, and what we had of a more normal market in 2018, 2019, and then before things got nuts in 2020. So we're noticing this shift. What are these indicators of this shift that you should be looking out for when it comes to you, the home buyer, looking at homes online? let's take a look at some of these little things. I've got an example here that I'm going to pull up too, but days on market is something that I would definitely be paying attention to if I was buying a home right now. If I was you and buying a home, this is something that I would be looking at. Days on market, DOM, or days on market. And so what happens is with this market shift, homes are sitting a lot longer on the market. Why? Well, this is old school supply and demand things, old school economics, right? When we had the seller's market, we had a little bit of supply and we had a high demand due to the really low interest rates and a lot of other things, right? A lot of other factors. So now that we're shifting, right, we're getting more supply. Inventory is starting to come back up. When I say inventory, I'm talking about homes for sale on the market. So inventory is starting to come back up. All right. And the demand has actually come down because of the things we've already talked about: inflation, interest rates, that type of thing. People are thinking about playing the waiting game, trying to time it, all that stuff, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So stick around for that. But these are some of the easiest indicators that you can look at when it comes to searching for homes. One other thing is looking for price reductions. All right. So the longer that a home has more days on the market, you are probably going to see that home have a price reduction. All right. That means that the listing agent or the seller, right, had to bring the price of the home down to make it more appealing, hopefully to the market or maybe some potential buyers. All right. So they're trying to bring the price of this listing down. So price reductions really correlate with days on market. Usually around that 10-day or 2-week mark is when you're going to see a price reduction. Now, in the seller's market that we were in, all right, homes in a lot of areas, not everywhere, because not everywhere on the island was a crazy seller's market, but depending on the area and the communities, homes were under contract, sometimes 2 or 3 days, right? It was pretty crazy. And a lot of people, like we said, were overpaying with out-of-pocket cash for a lot of these homes. So those are some of the pretty easy indicators. The other thing would be inventory, all right? Now, I just mentioned inventory going up or starting to climb back up. We were used to seeing, back in May of 2020, even, it was about 4 months of inventory. And throughout the craziness, we were at less than a month of inventory. Now we're climbing back up, all right, getting closer to that 1.5 to 2 month mark. We're getting there. We're slowly creeping there. So when you start to see more inventory, again, this affects supply and demand, right? Now we have more supply with a little bit less demand, meaning if you are in the market to buy a home, you're going to have more to pick from. And there's going to be less competition over here with the buyers, right? When there's going to be less competition, meaning less people searching for homes or less people competing, hopefully, for that same home that you have fallen in love with, right? So those are some easy indicators when you're out searching on your favorite website, or you can head to our website and you can check it out. But keep those in mind when you're looking at homes. Hold up a quick example for you. You can see this home right here, and we're not going to say, we're not listing anybody's information here. We're just showing you this home that you can go check out on realtor.com if you'd like to. But this is a 1-bed, 1-bath condo, and you can see right here on realtor.com, they have the $480,000, right? And then you can see that it has a $15,000 price drop. This home is just for your example purposes, but you can see the price drop. And what did we say? The days on market, where we said roughly the 10 to 14 day mark. You can see that it's been on the market for 20 days, meaning that they probably did that price drop right around that 2-week mark. So it's been on the market for 20 days. All right. And it's had the $15,000 price drop. These are easy indicators for you when it comes to looking at homes online and figuring out, what's your move? What do you want to do? When it comes to the average cost of Honolulu homes, right, or homes for sale in Hawaii, this is what I like to look at. A lot of people like to look at the median, all right, and these are two different things, right? Going back to grade school math, we got the median and the average, okay? I like to look at the averages, okay, but we're going to pull that up and I'm going to show you. Now, Hawaii has this stigma, really, it's not really a stigma. It is expensive to live out here. It's expensive to buy a house out here. But when we see the news put out these things, right, the news is putting out, it costs $1 million to buy a home in Hawaii. That is not necessarily true. There are homes less than $1 million and there's homes way above $1 million, right? There's tons of different variables that come into play when talking about the cost of homes in Honolulu, Hawaii. So that's actually what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up data from the MLS and I'm going to show you this data from the MLS and let you make your own decisions about it. But I'm going to show you this home and hopefully, or this data, and give you some perspective. Now, if y'all been watching me and following this channel, then you know that I love to show some data, right? I love to look at some data. And so what you can see right here is in the backside of the MLS. And what you can see is as of June 2022. So I'm talking about the right-hand side. You can see June of 2022. And then on the very right, it says 6 months. So this is average home price over the last 6 months. And you can see where on the top left, it says all properties. And I have single family and condo townhomes selected. So we're going to talk about that. Now let's look at this blown up image now that we've cleared the air on that, and you can see on the right side again that same data. So I wanted to give it a blown up image so you can clearly see what it is. But over the last 6 months, so this is as of June 2022, over the last 6 months from the entire MLS of single family homes and condos, $896,618 is the average sale price over the last 6 months. And that's an increase of 12.8%, right? A positive increase of 12.8%. So the other line to the left is the over a year's time frame. That's what that line is there. But there you can see that that is the average home price, right, when it comes to Oahu or Honolulu, Hawaii. So that was the average over the last 6 months, all right? The average sale price over the last 6 months. So does that necessarily mean that you're paying $800, $900, or $1 million for a house in Hawaii? No, it really depends on you, your family, or your single individual, your lifestyle, your goals, priorities, what it is that you're looking to really accomplish when it comes to buying a home in Hawaii. And we can definitely talk about that on our call when you get on a call with us. But so just really trying to get rid of like that stigma, but also opening up your eyes to, yes, Hawaii is expensive, but it really depends more on you and your factors and what it is that you're looking to do. Back to our original question of, is it a good time to buy a house in Hawaii? So this is my perspective, and I mean, maybe this analogy fits you, maybe it doesn't, but is it a good time to like plant a tree? When's it the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago, right? Every time somebody talks about, man, I should have bought, and I waited and I waited and I waited. And now look, I could have made this much money, or I could have this much equity in my home if I would have bought 20 years ago, if I would have bought 10 years ago, if I would have bought 5 years ago, right? And you don't want to be that person that's saying, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? You shoulda, woulda, coulda, and then you waited, and then you try to time the market, which you should never do. You should never be trying to time the market, all right? When you time the market, you're going to lose, all right? Don't try to time the market. We've had people who tried to time the market with selling their home, all right? And some people sold their home and made a huge profit off of it. And then they took those funds and then they put it right back into the same market that they had to buy a house in, right? Because they had to sell their home, they moved somewhere else, right? And then they took those funds and put it right back in the market, okay? Then we've got buyers who are trying to time the market with the interest rates and everything like that. There's really it's really hard to predict the interest rates and saying, okay, that you showed a 6.2, like I'm going to wait. Well, next week they might be a 7. And then what are you going to keep waiting? All right. And then maybe they come back down to a 5 and you're rushing to do your pre-approval, or they come back down to a 4. Who knows when those times may come again? So overall, all in all, homes, real estate is always a good investment. All right. Real estate appreciates over time. Historically, data has shown this. All right. That's not my opinion. Data has shown this. And if you're looking at like wealth building, right, real estate has created the most millionaires out of just about anything, right? And that's pretty much worldwide. So that's historical data too. Now, I'm not necessarily saying go buy a house now, all right? I'm talking about if you're thinking about making your move here, then this is something you and I can definitely talk about together. But don't try to time the market, all right? Just understand that yes, you may get a higher interest rate now, but later on down the road, you can change your interest rate. You can't change that 50 to 100 grand that was being paid out, 6 months ago, right? So to keep those things in mind. So is it a good time to buy a house in Hawaii? My answer is yes, but this is very dependent on you, your lifestyle, your situation, and what you have going on. We covered a ton of data and information to help you really gauge what's happening right now in the market and really gauge, is it the right time or should I wait? The best decision for you. But if you made it this far and you haven't already, hit the like button. Please do so. It's going to help anybody else be able to find these helpful videos. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime that we put a new video out on this channel. And like I said in the beginning, we talked to so many people that are either thinking about making their move here, or already decided that they're making the move here, or even already living here and trying to find the community that best fits their lifestyle. Whichever category you fall in, you can reach out, you can shoot us a text, give us a call, send us an email, slide in my DMs, however it is that you're comfortable. We got your back when it comes to living in Hawaii. Tons of other videos on this channel. We got vlog tours if you really want to see what some of these communities like, a lot of other information to really help you really pick the area that best fits your lifestyle. All that and more is going to start popping up for you right now.